The Dodgers even up the series behind Roki Sasaki's arm while the Yankees continue to mash in their beatdown of the Pirates. This is MLB Game Night.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into MLB Game Night, your daily MLB recap, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we cover your team each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. He's Steve Lenox at Lenox on baseball and social media as well. And Steve, your Boston Red Sox didn't get to play today. They got rained out. They'll have a doubleheader tomorrow. But lots of action here across MLB. I want to start off with the Dodgers and the Phillies. We saw Philadelphia take that series or take that game last night on Apple TV Plus. The Dodgers have a 3-1 win today. And the big story from today's game, Roki Sasaki, 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks to 4 strikeouts. Really doing a better job of control than he's shown in his first couple outings.
Yeah, Austin Barnes, reading the MLB.com story, Lindsay, was very complimentary of how Sasaki has made progress. And manager Dave Roberts also quoted saying he needed that. Not an easy transition. Great success in Japan. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a good pitcher. You know, a lot of teams were in on him. It's just a matter of, adapting to a lot of different things. Overnight and coming over here and just having success immediately, a lot of Japanese players have done that in the past. Some of them have bumps in the road, and it's a learning process.
Yeah, like it's a different ball, it's a different culture, different schedule, a lot of things there. So for him to kind of pick it up this quickly makes you feel really good about the Dodgers and the strength of that rotation because everybody has workload concerns over there. Good.
Yeah, it's one of those, and there's stories now. Shohei Ohtani is throwing bullpens. It's going to be an interesting one because you're not sending him to the minors to build up. So he's going to have to get the bullpens. He's going to, maybe he faces live hitters when they're home, different things like that. Guys at the end of the bench who need to see some pitches. But Ohtani's going to come back eventually. Hey, the Dodgers, despite all their success, they've had arm injuries. So now do they get all these guys healthy going forward? You've got Glasnow Sanchez pitching matchup for the series finale. Every single guys, you've got to label them with fragile, because, you got to wrap them in bubble wrap because, it's strength in numbers with the Dodgers in their rotation, but they've got, next man up and, we know they've spent the money and they can afford to lose a guy, but you want your pitching staff healthy. You want, Freddie Freeman now on the IL, but just with this pitching staff, it's an embarrassment of riches. Health is a big thing.
And the goal is just to, get 3 of them healthy by the time you get to October. But speaking of next man up, Yankees took down the Pirates 10-4 today. Trent Grisham has kind of been the forgotten man in New York in his first season. He was on the bench a lot in that first year. Alex Verdugo played a lot of left field. Trent Grisham hits 2 home runs in the 10-4 destruction of the Pirates.
Yeah, solo shot and a 3-run shot to the opposite field. That in the 5th inning put the Yankees up 5-4. They've taken the first 2 games of that series, and the Yankees just continue to hit home runs. That's what they're going to do. 25 now through the first 8 and at least 1 in each of their first 8 games of the season.
They had an interesting thing here. Just your thought real quick. Paul Goldschmidt was the leadoff hitter today. Went 3 for 4, scored a run, had an RBI. I've always thought that Jazz Chisholm would be a good fit there. He went 1 for 4 today, but he stole 2 bags. Just kind of odd to see Paul Goldschmidt leading off with Ben Rice behind him, 2 first basemen back-to-back in the lineup at the very top.
And remember, Austin Wells was the leadoff hitter on opening day, and he led off the home first inning at Yankee Stadium with a home run, and Goldschmidt did it the next day against Cortez. Aaron Boone making these moves? Is he getting the paperwork and following instructions, going to the notebook like Joe Girardi used to do? It's working right now. And you've got, Paul Goldschmidt, Diamondbacks, Paul Goldschmidt, Cardinals. He's never in the leadoff spot. He's in the middle 3-4 hitter. But somehow the Yankees manage it. I would think ultimately, I agree with you on Chisholm, but I would think ultimately they'd want Volpe in that leadoff spot. I don't know if it ever happens, though.
With the torpedo bat, anything's possible with Anthony Volpe, it feels like.
Great point.
Cubs 7, Padres 1. This is a great little interesting matchup. Old friend of yours, Nick Pivetta, goes 3 innings, 3 runs on 6 hits. Free agent signing Anthony Boyd turns around 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, gets the win for the Cubs. Padres, finally handed their second loss of the year. They're sitting at 7-2.
Yeah, and the Cubs have won 5 in a row, and the Cubs are atop of the NL Central. We'll see if that's the case on Memorial Day, July 4, and Labor Day. But the Padres just 2 runs in the first 2 games of the series. The Cubs are going to go for the series sweep. Carson Kelly, 2-out, 3-run home run in the 6th inning. That made it 7-0. And Dansby Swanson also homered. And Ian Happ with a milestone. Not sure if you saw it or not, Lindsay, but playing in his 1,000th career game. All
with the same team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great little story there for him. Speaking of the Padres probably wanting to play somebody different, their old foe, the Braves, are held scoreless today. They lose to the Marlins 4-0. Atlanta's now 1-8. They went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. At what point do we panic about the Atlanta Braves?
You tell me. I want to pose it to you right now. I really hope no one's calling for Brian Snitker's job. I go way back with him to his days in my days in the Carolina League. He was in Myrtle Beach when it was a Braves affiliate. One of my all-time favorites. And I mean, back then you had Sherholz, you had Dayton Moore, you had Randy Engel managing in the organization. Not name dropping here, but Snit is a great guy. I'm hoping I don't see that on social media anywhere. But hey. You felt great about the opener, but then you get shut out by the Marlins. Matt Mervis, 2-out magic, 2-out, 2-run home run in the first and a 2-out solo home run in the 7th. That made it 4-0. And hey, the Marlins 5-4 right now, and the Braves, as you mentioned, doing nothing with runners in scoring position and shut out for the 3rd time this year, 9 games.
The big issue with the runners in scoring position thing is the main culprits are your heart of the order. The first inning, Michael Harris leads off with a double. And then Ozzie Albies, Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson. Not only can they not drive him in, they can't even get him to third base. Later in the game, Stuart Fairchild pinch hits, gets a leadoff triple to start. I think it's the 8th inning. Start the 8th inning. Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies, Marcell Ozuna, 2 strikeouts and a weak ground out to second base. So it's not only not productive outs, there's not even the possibility of being a productive out. It's really just unfortunate for Atlanta. And I still feel like they can make the playoffs. This is not like the season's not over, but no team that started 0-7 has ever done that. So they'll be making history when they do it. And when they have games like this, it's one thing to get beat by or get swept by the Padres or the Dodgers. But the Marlins were one of the worst teams in the National League last year. So to do that, yes, they're 5-4, small sample size. It feels like Atlanta's in a place they're just not used to being.
Yeah, Cal Quantrill, 5 scoreless for Miami, 4 relievers combining on the shutout with Quantrill. And, maybe the Marlins are starting to go in the right direction. I mean, there were times last year where you sort of said, okay, you can see what they're building here, made all the trades. And now, they're going to take their lumps. So are the Washington Nationals in the NL East. But, the Marlins are going to be a pain in the neck to play, especially at home. I mean, they've got, they had a bunch of walk-off victories last year at home. They've already got a handful this year on the resume.
Yeah, they definitely added a lot of pieces, and hopefully some of them will work out. In just a minute, we're going to get to that Nationals team that you mentioned. They had a great win despite a lot of strikeouts. We'll do that next right here on MLB Game Night. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. That's justingredients.us, code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. Welcome back to MLB Game Night. Lindsay, Crosby, Steve Lenox going over all of the action from Saturday across baseball. And you mentioned the Washington Nationals. They take down the Diamondbacks 4-3, which the Diamondbacks, pretty good offense, one of the better offenses in baseball last year, quietly. Eduardo Rodriguez has a really weird game. He strikes out 12, but still takes the loss. Is this just like some bad luck? I mean, he goes 5 hits, 4 runs across 5 innings, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts, but he gets saddled with a loss. Is that just bad luck on his part, or is that just maybe this Washington team is built to swing and miss, but also to run around on the base pass a little bit and cause some havoc?
12 strikeouts, 90 total pitches. And when you put Rodriguez on there on our rundown prior to getting underway here, I went to his baseball reference page. 32 on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday. So happy birthday, Eduardo, a couple of days early. Maybe his performance, as you pose that, Lindsay, it's kind of like his career. It really is. I mean, starts with the Red Sox, great, goes to the Tigers. There was a time with Detroit where he refused to be traded. Second year with Arizona now, 10 starts last year. He's had seasons where he's had issues in terms of injuries. The Red Sox at one point were knocking on the door to bring him back. But yeah, 12 strikeouts, again, 90 pitches, takes the loss. He's a talent, and he's a lefty. So you want to give him that much more of the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, it's almost like it's Devin Booker with the Phoenix Suns the other night against the Boston Celtics. He got his, but they lost by 20. Is that a good parallel?
I think it's a good comparison. I like that. And I do think a lot of the blame for this loss goes on the Diamondbacks. Only 5 hits in the game. And just for some reason, none of them were for extra bases, right? You think about all the guys with speed they have, and yet nobody could take a second base on any of these hits.
And speaking of that, the game ended. Riley Adams cut down Alek Thomas trying to steal second base. That's how the game ended. And Alek Thomas is he's well above average. He's a terrific base runner. But they fall short. That series is even at 1-1. I mean, Arizona's been there. Torey Lovello, great manager. But it's almost like they play like the Washington Nationals right now, where there's a lot of young talent. But Arizona's more of they've got more veterans. The World Series 2 years ago, and a lot of the players that they still have there.
Toriel and things like that, yeah.
Yeah, but the Nationals are learning to. A lot of their young guys are learning to win and taking their lumps right now at the big league level. They've got a window that's it's not even cracked yet. But the Diamondbacks right now, as they bring in Corbin Burns, who goes in the finale on Sunday. Not that they're in win now mode, but you could see them. I mean, remember, they've made moves. They've had money on the payroll, but all of a sudden they could decide, you know what? We're gonna have to trim some payroll here. We've got to go back and almost reload, but still want to compete.
Yeah, it's just odd situation all around. We'll see what happens. Obviously, tough division to be in when when you're the Diamondbacks and having to deal with the juggernaut that is the Dodgers. Moving on to some central action here. The Reds take down the Brewers in an offensive explosion, 11-7. These teams combined for 26 hits and 18 runs. But the big thing, center fielder TJ Friedl is the DH for the Cincinnati Reds. Goes 4 for 5, 2 runs, 2 RBI, including a home run. And they pick up, I think it's 4 homers in the victory. Have the Cincinnati Reds finally gotten over the hump on the we can't score runs problem they had earlier in the year?
Well, remember when they lost 3 straight games, 1-0 prior to that 3-game stretch, they scored 14 runs against the Texas Rangers. The Rangers can pitch. All 4 home runs against another Rodriguez, Elvin Rodriguez, but Trevino, number 1, Friedl, number 1, Dunn, number 1, Christian Encarnacio Strand, number 2. Cincinnati's going to hit. Again, I think I said it, that pitching that they have, they've got some young, talented pitchers. They're going to hit. They're going to score runs. But if they can maintain the consistency over what they've had over the first 7+ days of the regular season, if they can have a good bullpen and they can get their starters to go 6 or 7 consistently, I like the Reds. Yeah, okay, still under 500. Again, trouble scoring in those games, but 4 home runs, 11 runs total, and they beat up on the Brewers.
Yeah.
That's what they're capable of doing.
Divisional rival. And flip side there, South Frelick, 4 for 5, 2 runs and an RBI. Their own Dunn, they have Oliver Dunn. He goes 2 for 4 with 3 RBI himself. Just an offensive explosion in a series has been low scoring up to today. Orioles and Royals. This was a fun one. Orioles 8, Royals 1. Tomoyasu Sugano gets his first major league win. Another Japanese pitcher came over the age of, I think, 35 this year. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, strikes out 4. But the Orioles have 12 hits, including 2 triples in the same game. I haven't pulled the numbers. I feel like you don't see 2 triples in a game that often.
No, and Tyler O'Neill had a double, a triple, 2 RBIs, 3 hits for Holiday, who had the other triple that you alluded to. And, I'm glad that the Orioles are showing that they can score runs without hitting the ball out of the ballpark. I think I referenced it the other day. 10 home runs in the first 3 games of the 4-game series against Toronto, but just 1 home run in the last 6. That against Baltimore and now Kansas City. Now, I don't know what the weather was Saturday in Kansas City. It was absolutely miserable. We touched on it Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've got the ability. I mean, Tyler O'Neill, for me, watching him all last year with the Red Sox, he's a feast or famine guy. But he puts the ball in play, double, triple, 2 RBIs. He could very easily go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts in the finale against the Royals on Sunday. That would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah. And shout out to the idea of trading for Jonathan India by the Royals. It absolutely worked. He's hitting 267, but 2 walks today. So Bobby Witt actually had guys on base in front of him. Bobby Witt Jr. batting in the 2-hole led baseball in at-bats with nobody on base as a number 2 hitter because Michael Garcia struggled so much in that respect last year. All right. Okay. Moving on. Athletics 7, Rockies 4. We saw a 6-5-4 triple play in this game, but even when you get a triple play, it's hard to win when you allow 11 hits and 7 walks like the Athletics got against the Rockies in this one.
Yeah, Jacob Wilson of the A's or the Athletics heading into that triple play, the 5th turn in Rockies history. Rockies have lost 6 in a row, 7 of 8 to open up the season. I don't know when it ever turns around for the Colorado Rockies. Good Friend is their AA affiliate is in Hartford, Connecticut, the Yard Goats, and Jeff Dooley has said they're kind of content in Colorado to a certain degree, because they know they're going to get great crowds throughout the course of the season at Coors Field. Mm-hmm. They want a competitive team, but it's just an interesting dynamic. I mean, of how they've constructed their roster, and they've got a decent minor league system, but they've had that for years, and guys come up, and it's going to be another long season. I think we touched on that on Friday, but Rooker, Langoliers, both homer in the 7th inning for the Athletics, and I think the Athletics in the West, they're not going to finish at the top of the division, and they've got a crazy situation in Sacramento, but I think they could be a 500 team over the course of this year.
Brent Rooker in that ballpark was 40 homer guy last year. He could hit 50 in Sacramento this year. To the Rockies' point, you mentioned Chase Dollander, their top pitching prospect, gets the call up. He will start on Sunday, make his MLB debut in the series finale against the A's. Just kind of fun little note there. Mets and Blue Jays. Mets 3-2. They are shut out for the first 7 innings. They come back and score a lot late. Francisco Lindor walks it off with a sacrifice fly, again, after being shut out for 7 innings. And a lot of the guys they're wearing the City Connects this time. A lot of the guys had the purple sleeves on underneath. Is this grimace thing just never going to go away?
Apparently not. And it didn't even dawn on me until I had that game on for a while during the course of the night. And all of a sudden I'm like, I haven't seen grimace yet this year. But
and they're all wearing purple. They're all
wearing purple. And actually, I thought it looked really good.
That's the hard part. It's a good look. It looks good. You can't criticize it because it's a good look.
Yeah. You talked about the Braves earlier, Lindsay, about not hitting with runners in scoring position. Lindor led off the home first inning with a double. Winker didn't score. Winker did the same in the second against Chris Bassett. Didn't score. The Mets were brutal. They left the bases loaded in the seventh. Winker had a double and 2 triples. His 2-run triple in the 8th inning tied it. And as you mentioned, Lindor walked it off in the bottom of the 9th inning. And, I'm sure we're not going to talk about the relievers except for closers a lot, but Huascar, Brazoban, 2 1/3 scoreless innings. He kept them in it. Bassett was outstanding, deserved better. They took him out in an odd situation, I thought. But Brazoban was a big reason the Mets were able to come back and win that game.
That Mets pitching factory has done a lot of work. We've seen what Clay Holmes has looked like. Griffin Canning, one run allowed in 4 innings, 6 strikeouts. He was a guy the Angels gave up on, traded him to Atlanta. Atlanta let him go, hang on with the Mets. Brazoban getting picked up in the offseason. Just that pitching
factory. Can I give you one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bichette, Vladdy Jr., Santander, the big pickup in the offseason. No home runs so far for those 3. 0.
Top 3 in your order. Now, they do get 6 hits today, but none of them score. They only drive in 2 runs, and they end up losing, by 1. So a little bit of underperformance there by those guys. In just a second, we're going to wrap up the schedule. Interesting stuff, including the Angels just launching a bunch of home runs. We'll do that next, right here on MLB Game Night. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of the ballpark food, the hot dogs, the popcorn, the Cracker Jack, the beer, whatever it might be. If you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. They have last minute deals, all-in pricing, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes all of the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, yes, but create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Final segment of MLB Game Night here on Saturday, April 5th. Lindsay, Crosby, Steve Lenox here with you. And the Twins and the Astros. Twins take down the Astros 6-1, but Jose Altuve just continues his tear. 3 for 5 with a homer from the leadoff spot. He's batting .364. 2 questions. First one, how dumb do I look for saying the other day that he might be struggling a little bit because he's having to play the outfield? But is there any concern about the Astros offense? Because now they're 3-5, and we've seen them struggle to score runs. They had 9 hits in this game, 1 run out of it.
And you can include me in that as well. You did agree
with me. You did agree with me.
Yeah, I'll stand on that. Our debut show is going to be remembered for talking about Jose Altuve going 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts, right?
Yeah. The gold,
he did it. Those numbers,
yeah.
They're there. So leads off the game with a home run, 41st time in his career that he's done that. But hey, Cam Smith is a rookie. Great story of how they told him he was going to the big leagues right out of camp, late in spring training, but 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. I mean, Kyle Tucker, for me, should still be in the Astros organization. They were trying to get Bregman back. I don't think it was, if you re-sign Kyle Tucker, I'm coming back for Alex Bregman. But, you lose 2 huge bats. It's going to be a transition here for the Astros. And, Cam Smith's going to be in the lineup. It'll be interesting to see. Again, just like a lot of rookies right now. End of April, if you're still not producing, guess what? Here's a ticket. You're on your way down to the minor leagues. But This is a little bit of a, you're just not replacing Bregman and Tucker right off the bat with the Astros. So that offense is just going to be inconsistent for a while. They may win some games that are, they may very well be low scoring throughout, at least the first couple of months of the season.
And some of it, too, is just getting some of the guys who were good last year to be good again this year.
Yeah.
More sample size. Christian Walker batting .161. Yanye Diaz batting .095. Like, these are guys who will hit. They just have to get that sample size. But to your point, Cam Smith might end up getting a chance to go back to AAA and play every day for Sugarland.
And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of guys have done it. They come back up and they have success. But remember, the Astros dug themselves into a deep hole last year. It took them a long time to get to 500. Once they did, they sort of just kept going.
Yeah, I mean, they won that division last year. Okay, Tigers and White Sox. This was an interesting one. Tigers 7, White Sox 2. Spencer Torkelson, for the first time in probably a year or so, looked like a number 1 overall pick. He goes 2 for 4, has a homer and a double. On the other side, Corey Lee for the White Sox goes 3 for 4 with the run scored. But if Spencer Torkelson can be the first baseman they thought he was when they drafted him, do they have enough offense while they're missing just so many guys to injury, with Parker Meadows and center field, all these different guys to injury? Do they have enough offense if Spencer Torkelson is hitting to actually maintain pace in the AL Central?
I think similar to the Astros, perhaps. They know what they did in the second half of the season, and they know you don't win the division in March and April. I know that's cliche. Yeah. But this is a team over the course of 162 that's going to hit. I love Riley Green. I've loved them for years. They open up 0-3. Now they're 4-4. Yes, you're playing the White Sox. But Kerry Carpenter, there's a lot of, Javier Baez seems to be having fun with this group as well. They seem to be, young enough and maybe naive enough still. They're young veterans, a lot of these guys in the lineup, but there's still a lot of potential in that lineup over the course of the full season. I'm curious. I'm looking forward. I hope I can see Jackson Jobe a little bit on Sunday. The rookie goes in the outing against Martin Perez. If everyone, if they play to expectations, they're just fine.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is going to be just having enough healthy pitchers. Part of that whole thing they did after the trade deadline last year was Tariq Skubal in the boys. Everybody's up. It could be a bullpen game. We could platoon a bunch of guys, an opener or whatever. Reese Olson goes quality start tonight. 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He's navigating through stuff, but he leaves them in a position to win the game. If they can get more performances like that from him, from Casey Mize, another former number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going.
Out of my Auburn University, they're going to be in a position to not have to bullpen game every other day down the stretch. And so it makes you feel like they'd be okay when they get to the postseason. Just big fan of the Tigers and the potential that they have.
Yeah, I'd really love to see Casey Mize put it all together. He's had injuries. He's worked He's worked very hard at getting to this point. Healthy, productive. Wait and see for 2025.
A guy who's healthy, but maybe not as productive as we were expecting. Jacob deGrom. Rangers beat the Rays 6-4, but deGrom 5 2/3, 8 hits, 4 runs, doesn't walk anybody, but 3 strikeouts, gives up 2 home runs. Is it time maybe to adjust our expectations back a little bit on who this version of Jacob deGrom can be after 2 Tommy John surgeries?
Never gets back to peak performance when he was with the Mets. Never gets there. But if he's a 5 and 6 inning guy, I saw him in a start against the Red Sox, his first of the season. He wasn't pumping 98, 99, 100. And he doesn't have to pitch there.
Right.
He's got great secondary stuff and very intelligent guy. And so I think everything goes right. He's understanding of what, and he did it with the Mets. He was understanding, hey, it wasn't that he couldn't pitch at 100%. He just knew, I can't take the ball today, or I can't take the ball in a couple of days. And they back him off a little bit. You can't expect him to go out there and go 7 every single start right now. But can he be productive? Hey, he's not going to live up to that salary. The Rangers gave him a huge contract.
They did.
But he certainly can be productive in this Rangers rotation.
Little fun note here for this Rangers win. They had 4 hits. They scored 6 runs, because when you draw 6 walks and 3 of your 4 hits are homers, that'll absolutely make that happen for you. Just kind of interesting little, I thought that was fun there. San Francisco Giants take down the Seattle Mariners 4-1. Robbie Ray throws a quality start, but he also walks 5 with only 2 strikeouts. Another veteran coming back from injury. In his case, he was with Seattle. They traded him over there. And then Outfielder Young-Hoo Lee, he lost most of last year to that shoulder injury that he had. He goes 3 for 4, scores 2 runs, has 2 doubles. Are the Giants, is it possible that they can challenge the Dodgers for the division, or are they just trying to get that first wild card spot? Because they're 7-1 and in second place.
Right. But as we touched on with the Dodgers, somebody goes down, next man up. Yep. I'm not saying that the Giants are thin, but they lose a couple of big players over the course of a couple of weeks or a month or two. They're going to feel it a lot more. I tend to agree with the second part there that you posed of wild card team for this year.
Yeah.
And who knows what they do at the trade deadline. I mean, they've been very aggressive in the off seasons the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So, they can add payroll and maybe they take on somebody's bad contract, but somebody who can come there. I'll tell you one thing with the Giants. I miss Brandon Crawford in the lineup still. And I know he hasn't been there for a while, but I just miss him at shortstop and in that Giants lineup. That just popped into my head.
One of those little, that's baseball, right? It's Charlie Blackmon in Colorado. It's Brandon Crawford there in San Francisco. It feels weird without it. Final game of the night, one of the most entertaining. Angels 10, Guardians 4. Angels hit 4 home runs, all of them off of Tanner Bibby. Just fantastic. Like he ends up giving up 7 runs on 8 hits in 4 innings. On the flip side, Jack Kachanowicz for the Angels, 2 earned runs, 3 total on 4 hits across 5 innings to get them the win. Should we be paying more attention to the 5-3 and second place Angels, especially when Mike Trout gets healthy and hits 3 home runs in 3 days?
I hope so. Fingers crossed. And thank you for that name. I watched him pitch 1 inning against the Guardians and he threw some splitters. I was like, whoa, where's this guy coming from?
Yeah.
It was a 1-2-3 inning. And I'm like, okay, first I need to learn how to pronounce the name. And then I need to go from there. And all of a sudden the inning's over. I'm like, that guy was filthy. He was right there. Got the early run support. You mentioned Bibby having difficulty keeping the ball in the yard. And I think it was the Guardians broadcast. They were talking a lot about Mike Trout. Future as a DH perhaps, but certainly capable of still putting up numbers. Stay healthy. I mean, this has been a theme of the show from my side, Lindsay. Stay healthy, Mike Trout. We all want that.
Baseball is better when Mike Trout is healthy. And so far, the move to right field has been the right thing for his health. It's just a lot less wear and tear on the legs. Again, he homers in this one. Jorge Soler also homered in this one. So just a great, you can kind of see what the potential is of this Angels team. When everybody's healthy, the hope is they can continue with this. This has been MLB Game Night for Saturday, April 5th. Do us a favor. You're listening here on the Locked On MLB podcast feed. Leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when this goes live tomorrow, because this show is 7 days a week. This is your daily MLB recap each and every day. Until next time, this has been MLB Game Night.